Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Today is another edition of our regular Thursday chit chat on finance, on budget, on building wealth, and on being good people while finding our purpose. Today, I'm joined with my brother, my friend, and my mentor, Gustav B. Achu. Brother, how are you doing?
Hey, Divo, man. I feel blessed today. What an awesome day to be alive. It's always a great plumping pleasure, not only the fact that we're alive, boy, but the fact that we have a chance to write a new story. You must understand that until you are planted, you must continue planting. Because I believe that anytime you have a chance to make an impact, it's an opportunity to make sure you're planting a seed under whose tree you might not ever see it in, but the shade will serve generations to come. Man, I love your new merch. I just ordered mine, and anybody who is seeing that, if you like that merch, make sure you. I hope you're going to provide a link. People can order that cap
Oh
and the
yeah.
t-shirt. It
So
looks nice,
World
man.
Smart Master, World Smart Advisory Group. We got our merchandise going. I just today. I've sold over 10 hats and 20 t-shirts.
Awesome,
So
awesome, brother.
it's we are building that brand. We're building
Awesome,
that brand.
awesome.
But today I want to make it more of you. Yesterday, or was it yesterday or 2 days ago? You turned the big 49, man.
Yes,
You turned
yes,
the big 49.
absolutely.
I was just thinking about it. I was like, you know, to turn 49 is one thing, and to turn 49 while identifying and working towards your purpose is another thing.
That's true.
And a lot of folks, I'm sure most of your folks that you grew up with, some don't have that privilege that you have today. So just briefly, what can you tell us about this new age? And what do you have planned going for your next 49 or 50?
Man, Dr. Dimo, one of the things that happens when you turn 49 is that certainly you don't wake up with the speed at which you used to wake up when you were much younger. Okay. At least that's one. Nowadays, when I wake up in the morning, I have to sit by the bed for a few maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, and
Mhm.
then I make sure that I'm not dizzy. I make sure that
Yes.
I'm not falling over, and then I wake up. Okay. But the second thing here is the fact that at the age of 49, now getting to have a century, there is a lot additional clarity upon my life, additional clarity on where I am going, how I'm going to get there, what the roadmap is, but also the realization and the acceptance of the fact that in that path, on that roadmap, there will be detours. I will not go according to the path I have necessarily set. I awesome. Did I just break up? Was it me?
Yeah, you kind of break up from the
Oh,
last
okay. Now I
bit.
say, of course, I recognize that on that path, I am willing to accept those detours because these detours are going to be a part of life. This is going to be exactly what happens. But I'm
Wow.
glad to be 49, bro. It's a pleasure, plumping pleasure.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
brother. Today we
Thank
have
you.
a jam-packed session here.
Yes.
But before we get started, I want to take the time to thank those that are joining us online. I am Dr. Heinrich Edimo, and I'm excited to have this conversation with my brother because the topics we are to discuss today sit in the intersection of relationship, money, and long-term building. Many people spend years learning how to make money, but very few learn how to protect it, grow it, and structure it in a way that creates stability for their families and future generations. Today,
Absolutely.
we are going to talk about something that often creates strong opinions: prenuptial agreements. Are they a sign of mistrust in a relationship? Are they simply a tool of responsible financial planning? Would recent public discussions surrounding high-profile figures like Dak Prescott, this conversation has become even more relevant. Beyond relationship and financial protection, we will also discuss 5 pillars of sustainable wealth building, the key personal wealth numbers everyone should know. And we will share some companies and ETFs that we are looking at going into next week and into the long run. My brother, sit tight, friends, and we are in here for a journey. Good evening again
That's a
and
heck of
welcome.
a schedule tonight. I'm excited, man. You see, I'm warming up. It's going to be loaded. I'm excited.
So, my brother, the other day we saw in the news Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, the wife had to call off the wedding as a result of a prenuptial agreement that he wants the wife to sign before they get into that matrimony.
Correct.
Many people believe prenuptial agreements signal mistrust. Others argue that it's a simply good financial planning. What is your view? And before you even start, I'm sure some of our viewers might not even understand what is prenuptial agreement.
Sure. I'll
But
break it all
kindly
down.
break it down and tell us what your view is with respect to this situation.
Absolutely. I mean, Dr. Edimo, I am happy you brought that angle to our conversation. And it's a very, very important angle, especially when it comes to planning your money, right? Because the person you marry, the person you spend the most of time in your life is going to determine how successful, how happy, how wealthy, and how generally impactful you end up in this life. So marriage is a very important component of wealth building. Even in American tax code, there is a special, I would say there's special consideration for married couple, for a family over single people. So there is an advantage to marriage. In general, even 61% of all millionaires are married.
That's good. That's a good fact.
Of course.
Yep.
61% of all millionaires are married. And of that 61%, I think about 70% of them are still on their first marriage. Okay. But now here is a challenge, especially in the generation we are living today. You and me are in our 40s, and we are starting to be that final generation where marriage used to be a simple commitment of two people to want to build a life together for generations to come. There was no overthinking it. There was no hidden agendas. There was necessarily no need to calculate the other person. But we are living in an era today where there's a lot of economic incentive for people to think about marriage beyond what it is designed to be. As a Christian, I believe that marriage is a centerpiece of family. Marriage helps to, to give you stability, psychological, emotional, spiritual, right? But we are living in a time today where there's a lot of incentives pushing human greed to make marriage a piece of an investment proposal. So it's even worse today because you have the proliferation of social media, right? And on social media today, you hear a lot of things being talked about when it comes to marriage and a long-term relationship. People are not talking about the value of the relationship. It is always, what do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? What can you contribute? And we are not talking about the biggest contributions, which is the fact that, number one, the mother is nurturing the children. She's providing nutrition for the home, right? She's providing love. She's providing the feminine energy in the home. We're not talking about the fact that you as a father, as a man, you're providing security, you're providing the presence of a male figure, you're providing an inspiration for your children. Because one of the things that is happening is that a lot of times people don't realize the role of a man is not only limited to provision and protection. Money is not the only role of a man. Statistics have told us that children who are raised by a single father have an outcome closer to children who are raised in a two-family home. The reason why is because men are trained to raise and behave logically, not emotionally. Now, that's a story for another day. Let's come back to our present situation. The Dak Prescott situation. Dak Prescott,
Do
for
you
those who
mind?
don't
Do
know.
you mind cleaning your camera? It's kind of blurry.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Just a minute then. Just a minute. Let me do that. Thank you for that. I'm getting my lenses cleaner. So, anyways, let me get this out of the way and then we can continue. And you tell me if it's better. How was that?
Uh, it's better. It might be the internet connection
It
there.
might be, yes.
Yeah.
It might be.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
let's keep going. Anyways, so let's come back now to the Dak Prescott situation, guys. Dak Prescott is an elite quarterback in the National Football League. And the National Football League means what? The National Football League is the number one football league in America. This is the football league that generates billions of dollars. Dak Prescott, I think is in his early 30s. He just came through signing a $240 million contract with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys is one of the most celebrated teams in America. And this young lady is a lady he knows. It's his fiancée. They have 2 children already, right? I think under the age of 3. And now
Yes.
they've decided they want to get married. But Dak Prescott is saying, listen, I love you. I care for you. I trust you. But listen here. I am coming into this relationship with about $300 million worth of money. Right? I want to make sure that if something goes wrong, I don't lose my money. Okay? What Dak Prescott is really saying is 52% of marriages today in America end up in a divorce in the first 3 to 5 years. So the question Dak Prescott is asking by asking for a prenup is, would you go into a business contract that you know that 52% of the time it fails without a contract agreement on what happens if it fails? I'm stepping out of the emotions here, guys.
Yep.
This is serious stuff. Because what is happening to me, I don't think it's a lack of trust. The era in which we live in this world today, it is important, especially if you're coming into the relationship with significant amounts of wealth. Because the law, first of all, in America is designed from the era of when only the men used to work. So when something happens, generally the law is more considerate to the woman because it was designed for the era when only men used to work and women were homemakers. And so it is important that if something happens, the homemaker also comes out whole. And that is a good thing. But life has evolved now to the point where we are seeing that marriages are lasting shorter and shorter as they go ahead. And in the case of Texas, right? Texas has a 50-50 distribution law in the event of a dissolution of the marriage. And by any means, I'm not a lawyer here. I'm just sharing the things I know, right? And in that case, it means anything you come with, everything that is in the marriage, if the marriage falls apart, then you split it in the middle. So I think Prescott, nobody really knows the details, but I think Prescott is simply saying, guys, listen, should something happen to us, the things I brought in, let it stay on one side. And the ones we built in this number of years, we were officially married. Let's do something about it. I don't know if I make sense.
Yeah, but you know what? I want to play the devil's advocate here,
I like
right?
that.
And in a situation where Dak Prescott was an average Joe, like you and I, right? It could have been totally different. I didn't get married to 14 years ago, saying that we should sign a prenuptial agreement because I'm broke, you know. But at the same time, what makes this situation different to me is because Dak Prescott already believes in this woman and he has 2 kids with this woman. So that makes the story quite trickier. If this was a fiance that they were just dating and stuff, they didn't have kids and all of that, it could have been different, especially in the era that we find ourselves today. But I think that Prescott made a decision to have kids with this woman. I'm sure before you even make, again, some guys, some of us, we're crazy, you know. But if you decide to have 2, 3, 4 kids with a woman, You must trust that woman, and you believe that that woman will play a significant part in your life. And for that reason, you're muted. You need to unmute. And for that reason, I believe that him coming with a prenuptial agreement at this point, because he just signed a 280 million contract, I don't think it's a fair deal. It doesn't prove fair to me. I understand the fact that he had to protect himself, but just the fact that he has been with this woman, they have two kids, that shows trust. And during the wedding, he's coming with a prenuptial agreement. I think that is a no-no to me. To me.
Dr. Timo, and I think you have a good point there, but let me share something. The thing is, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, right? And this is a very big part of world building because we have seen these things destroy many people easily, right? I remember, Jeff Bezos, it didn't destroy him for sure, but Jeff Bezos settled at 38 billion. Okay. Bill Gates about 100 billion, I think.
Yep.
Right? Woods about 100 billion. Jordan settled about 168 million. And there are other low profile ones. But here's the deal. And here is where I think sometimes I can understand where people like Prescott are coming from. Okay. Let's put it this way. Actually, Prescott is not the one calling off the wedding.
No, it's the wife.
The quarterback is
Yes.
the wife. And so the question, the
the
fiance, sorry, not the wife.
Yeah.
The question now is, if you've been with this guy, you have two kids with him, you have been supporting, you want to just continue doing what you've been doing because you are just going to do what you've been doing anyways, right? A piece of paper on a contract shouldn't change your intentions for this guy.
No, again,
Hang on a second. Hang on, let me land, then we can come back. I love this, and I want us to talk because this is a big part of our community today.
Yep.
That is one. The second thing, the statistics in America is telling us that 70% of divorces are initiated by a woman. It goes up to 90% when that woman has university education. So it is totally so what I am saying here is that only 10% of the time does a man initiate a divorce, number one. And number two, only 4% of the time does a man get any kind of alimony in the case of a divorce. So between you and me, if Prescott came to you as your brother and said, brother, what do I do in this situation? I believe that the natural instinct will be, you know what? It is fine. There's somebody, a woman you sleep with, you have kids, you got to trust her. There's no question about that. You got to trust this person, right? But the question now is, when shit hits the fan, which statistically, there is a 52% chance that it will hit the fan, unless she decides to be different. So it's a difficult one, Dr. Edimo. It's a very difficult one, but I understand where Dr. Dak Prescott is coming from. But I also believe that if the woman too, from her perspective as a fiancé, if her intention is to marry the love of her life and committing like we usually commit in front of God and man, that till death do us part, right? Then the presence of a piece of paper is just like the insurance to your car. When you are driving your car on the highway, the chances of having an accident is whatever percentage it is, right? But at the same time, you don't write that insurance hoping that you have an accident, do you?
No, I think that is totally, again, I totally disengage with your assertion here, right? Just the fact that because they're getting married, he has to come with a piece of paper for her to sign to protect his money, that's already mistrust. That is total mistrust to me. Personally, right? And again, maybe I'm saying this because I'm broke, per se, right? But
no, you're not broke, but you've built.
What I'm trying to say here, again, I want to make this clear with respect to where I stand. If Dak Prescott was dating this girl, he never had any children with this woman, right? And he comes up to say, okay, you know what? I really love you. I would like to marry you, but I want us to get a prenuptial agreement to safeguard what I have kept for these years and stuff. fine and good. If the woman does not want that, fine and good. But Jack Prescott intentionally has had kids with this woman. Not so they have been together for at least, if the youngest is say 3 years, they have been together maybe 5 or 6 years. Okay. And he made that decision. And during their time together, he has gotten this contract. So, and they are getting into a civil reunion right now. And this guy comes with a piece of paper to say, you know what, lady, I love you, but I want you to sign this piece of paper so that if tomorrow we divorce, I'm protecting this 280 million that I just signed. That is BS. That is total BS. And
No,
no, wait, let me
but yeah.
finish. Wait, let me
Okay, go
finish.
ahead. Yes, finish.
And
That's good.
what I see about this, right? The thing is, most people, right? Maybe I don't know. Maybe if I have money, I'll think that way too. We put too much emphasis on money. Tomorrow can happen. Jack Prescott maybe he doesn't have that contract anymore, or that contract is rescinded, or something physical happens to him, right? You know who was supposed to gonna be by his side? It's the girlfriend or maybe the wife if that happened. Personally, as you made the assertion that 52% of marriages in the United States don't survive, 48% do survive.
That's right.
And to be candid, if you're going into a civil union, getting married to somebody, and all that is behind your back, it's divorce, I'll prefer you not to marry. That is the way I see it.
And that's
And it's like you talked about insurance. We buy
correct.
insurance in case of an accident, but you're not going to stay in your house refusing to drive a car because you're afraid of accident. You buy insurance because it's like a mitigation. It mitigates your risk of you losing everything with respect to your car or maybe in the hospital and stuff. But it doesn't mean that you're scared to get into that car to drive because you think that the next accident. So him bringing that piece of paper to this lady that they have 2 kids, I think that piece of paper supersedes the kids that he has, number one, and supersedes the relationship and everything that he has built with this woman up till now. He values his money, and those other people and things are secondary. That is just the way I say it.
I mean, of course, we're going to close it right after I finish.
Oh yeah,
so we
well,
can
let's
move on to
run
other
on
things.
with this.
But I think you really have a point there, Dr. Edimo, but you have a right to your opinion, right?
Oh, sure.
It's totally understandable. But again, I'm playing it too from the side of Dak Prescott here, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I mean, when I look at the history of their relationship, I think they got to know themselves in 2023 or so, right? Okay, they have 2 kids over the last 3 years. Fine. Number 3, there is no question the kids are going to be taken care of. In case of anything, there will certainly be a child support and all the good stuff that goes along with that. So there is no question about that, right? Number 4, and like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I think the dynamics of America, the dynamics of the present day we live in, those dynamics don't work very well, especially for the generation coming after us. Like I'm saying, our generation, those of us in our late 40s, early 40s, mid 40s, we are the last generation that is really, I believe, going to benefit from the purity of a commitment of a relationship. Number 1, especially because most of the times too, we get together when we don't have anything. So we build together, right? In this case, they really didn't build together. This girl just came in like 2.5 years or 3 years ago into Dak Prescott's life. This is Dak Prescott's final big contract. Before coming in, Dak Prescott is already worth like 100 million. So personally, if Dak Prescott was my son and he came to me and he said, Daddy, this is the dilemma I'm facing. In all fairness to you, I don't think I would have advised him against putting a prenup together. And I'll give you and I've given you some reasons. And I'll just come back again to firm that up, to say, listen, the prenuptial agreement It's not lack of trust necessarily. Because either way, there's already a prenup. The government has a prenup for us. Do you know that? In case there's a divorce today, the government has a way they are going to take care of you and your family. So there's already a prenup that the government has. The question is, you want the government to use its own prenup or you want to use your own prenup you people agreed on? Anyway, Dr. Divo, I
Anyway,
think we
let's
should
close
do,
on this.
you know what? I think we should do a show just on family and money.
Yeah.
Marriage, family, and money. Let's do a show on that.
I
Actually,
think
a series because 1 hour will not be enough.
Yep.
All right.
Marriage, family, and money. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking that down.
Yes.
So, I just right now the way things are with Prescott and their fiance, I don't know. Again, never say never, but I wish them well. I wish them well.
Absolutely. That's all we can do.
Yeah. So let's transition here. And before we transition, I want to call out Sister Agi from Maryland, the Bokwango Queen, Patience Nana. We have some other folks. We have a couple people here today. I can't really see all their names, but please, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, just write it down or just put it in the comment area. Faith Musa, thank you for joining us well, so that I'll get to see the folks that are in here today.
Dr. Yenchi from Maryland also is on, a healthcare entrepreneur out of Clinton, Maryland. Dr. Yenchi is on. Hey, Dr. Yenchi.
Thank you for joining, Dr. Yenchi. Yes, let's transition here. You often talk about a framework. You often talk about pillars. You often talk about building sustainable wealth. What are those pillars? Those 5 pillars that you talk about, those 5 pillars for building sustainable wealth. Which are the ones that are of those 5, right? Can you put them in order of preference and translate them how they affect average people's life?
Powerful. That's awesome. You know, Dr. Edimo, building wealth is like building a house. Building wealth is like a project. You cannot attack a project without a plan, a sequential series of activities and events and executable actions that you have to take. So a lot of times people go after building wealth in a very scattered, very unstructured, and very unintentional way. What I mean by this is, like with everything, to really build not only wealth, but sustainable wealth, which means wealth that will live with you and live, and you will live after. It's important to have a structure. It's important to have a plan. And I learned this through my own experiences in life and through my own journey. I learned to realize that every time I faced difficulties and I made wrong decisions, it's because I didn't have a clear and structured framework I was working off of. I was working on exactly how I felt at that time or the knowledge I'd acquired at that time. That's why I went ahead and put together something called my 5 proprietary pillars. And this pillar forms into my sustainable wealth framework. It starts with the first pillar, which is clarity. You cannot get to your destination if you don't even have a destination in the first place. You cannot. Clarity means what? Clarity means being able to know and clarify to yourself, number 1, where you are right now at the time when you're starting. What is your financial situation at that time? What is your life situation at that time? Number 2, you want to clarify where you want to be. Number 3, you want to clarify how fast you want to get there. Number 4, you want to clarify what is the price you want to pay to get there. That is the risk profile. Number 5, you want to clarify what is even your own purpose. Why do you want to get there? How is that going to work in the framework of your life? Once you clarify those things, it makes it very, very powerful and easy because now you have a clear picture of that destination. One of
Right.
the things people don't realize, Dr. Edimo, the power of Christianity as a religion is that they have painted us such a marvelous picture of the end. They have painted to us Christians this beautiful, marvelous picture of the destination, which is heaven. So it makes it easy now for us from the beginning with that kind of clarity. Oh, it will be dancing and joy, light, beautiful. God will be there. Jesus and all my great people will be there, right? Now it is easy now to put together the framework of the pathway. What is the framework of that pathway? Be a good human being. Follow the 10 commandments. Do good to your neighbor. These basic things. That is why clarity is so important. Clarity is the beginning. You might not be clear for everything because we know life happens, but find clarity at that point in the situation where you are. Once you identify it, as you go forward, you'll be adjusting it. The second key pillar, protection. And when I talk here about protection, I'm talking about number one, protecting your own life first. There is something called life insurance. We have the IULs, we have term life insurance. Personally, I am a term life insurance guy. You buy an inexpensive, efficient 30, 40-year term life or 25, 30-year term life, and you invest the rest. Number two, you want to protect your present circumstance with something called an emergency fund. An emergency fund is what if money. In case something happens, can you survive without going into those investments? The reason why is because if you just go and only start investing without even having an emergency fund, you will fall into the 75% of Americans who cannot solve a $1,000 problem. They will need to, you put something up on your Facebook the other day. More and more Americans are resorting to their 401k to solve emergency problems. That shouldn't be the case. What is happening is that as they are taking money out of their 401k, they are losing compounding. They are losing that growth. These are people who've been investing for 15 years and now they go take the money. They pay taxes, they pay penalty, and then they lose their compounding. That is a triple whammy. So protection is very important. You want to get life insurance, you want to make sure you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up in a high yield savings account. The third thing about protection, you also want to protect your intellectual property. We are living in a time today when you need to protect the ideas that come from your mind. The Facebook pages, your YouTube channels, you create an LLC and you put those assets into it. Because you might not eat from those things today, but in 10, 15, 30 years, your channel might be $2 million worth and your children will benefit. That's intellectual property. You want to protect your name. You create a business, you create a brand name, make sure you protect it in the intellectual property office, right? That is the second pillar, protection. Now we get into the third, which is multiplication now, Dr. Edimo. Multiplication is the actual investing. So if you realize, we didn't just start by investing. We started first of all by building the foundation. Now we are at the level where we have to invest that money. And this is where we talk about investing on the stock market, investing in companies you trust, like, and you've researched, investing in ETFs. We are talking about investing in businesses. If it might be on the stock market, it might even be a private business that somebody you know and trust is doing. We are talking about investing in real estate trust, single family homes, apartment buildings, real estate companies, buying land banking. We are talking about different investments here that can build wealth. But mostly we believe that the number one wealth builder in America is the US stock market. That's why for the people I coach, I coach them a lot to invest a significant portion of their investments in the stock market, because you are really investing in other people's businesses, but these are businesses that are proven. And there are a lot of live and videos we've talked about that. So I will move on from there. The fourth pillar after multiplication, now it is acceleration, because the multiplication pillar, now you already have that engine, that compounding engine that is hosting the eighth wonder of the world, which is the magic of compounding. So all you need to do now is you want to add more fuel to that engine so it keeps running at a higher velocity. So think about acceleration like you take a Lamborghini, but you had the engine of a BMW. And now, as you start making extra income, maybe from a side gig, maybe from selling merchandise like Dr. Edimo is doing on his brand, maybe from consulting, maybe from riding Uber or whatever that extra money is, consider that extra money like you are taking out that engine of the BMW from the Lamborghini and you are putting now a Lamborghini engine. Because the car can go faster, the car can accelerate more, and the growth on your returns is even the growth of your portfolio is faster because you have more money coming in. That is the acceleration pillar. That is what accelerates and fast tracks your goal towards your goal. Now, the fifth pillar, which is the final pillar to wrap this up, is the perpetuity pillar. After you've started investing now, so you've clarified why you're investing, you've protected yourself with insurance, you are multiplying your money through investing, you are accelerating your money now by bringing additional income, learning new skills, increasing your income. The fifth thing you want to do now, you want to position all of these things into assets that can outlive you. Perpetuity means what? Perpetuity means you enjoy from your sweat, but you also make sure when you leave this world, you leave something behind for the other people. And it does not only have to be for your family. When we talk about legacy here, this is the fifth point, which is perpetuity. When we talk about legacy, it is not only about money. Legacy is about your history. I saw a few weeks ago, Dr. Edimo was advertising the fact that his son is starting a training program to teach children how to invest. That is legacy. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to give him the mindset to take over what his father would have worked for years to protect. That is so important, guys. And this fifth pillar, which is perpetuity, is the ability to make sure all those things you've worked for is wrapped up into a basket that can continue to be protected. For those who are Christians, if you remember the Bible story, I think it was what king was that? Was it David? That they were killing young children in that city, and the mother put him in a basket and put him on the river.
Yeah, it was David.
King David, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that Bible story, the mother carefully protected that basket, put plastic lining on the inside so water cannot come in and drown the child, protected and put a cover in a way that even if water is passing over the basket, the child will stay safe. And she put her son in it and closed it. That is what perpetuity is like. Perpetuity is protecting all of these things in a basket that protects it. That's why we're at this stage of the fifth pillar. We talk about things like trust. We talk about things like wills, right? So, guys, this is that proprietary fifth pillar, Dr. Edimo. Once you understand this and you start practicing it, this is the 5 pillars. This is the blueprint. This is the framework that the people like Coach follow, and they see significant amounts of success.
Incredible, incredible. We have a lot of folks listening here. Folks, we don't make any money out of what we're doing. And the other day I started making money out of Facebook. And for 2026, I said whatever proceeds I make out of this Facebook, I'm gonna give it to you guys, to people that really need it. Because all we ask of you is to share this content, is to share, leave comments, let more people come and take advantage of this. Some folks did sign up and subscribe to our channel, and they are paying us. We really appreciate that. When folks come here and listen to some of these things, as much as you guys are here listening to us, I assume that you're taking some really good notes and you're getting value out of this. So reach out, share this content so that more people can join this space as we continue to share these nuggets. Again, back to you here, my brother. Thank you. Great 5 pillars, incredible structure that you have out there. But let me ask you this, all right? What mistakes do high-income professionals make to prevent them from building wealth over time?
That's a good one. I love that because it's always in present and absolute danger. I say that because a lot of people have worked with people who start off good when they are making mid-level income. They are disciplined, they are frugal, they organize themselves, they are able to make sacrifices, they are able to postpone present enjoyment for future gains. They are living a life of pure need, I would say. They've identified what is it that is clearly needful in their lives. The challenge usually comes when these same people, maybe they go to school, they become an NP, or they become a high income earner, a doctor, or they become an IT guy, they have 2 jobs, they start making 300,000. All of a sudden, all of this discipline flies out the window. I've been guilty too, guys, so I'm not talking here from a high horse. I'm talking from learned experiences. These things, you don't change it by imagination. You have to be intentional and conscious. So this discipline flies out the window. So what happens, therefore, is that their income increases and their lifestyle doubles. And so all of a sudden, they're in the negative, even though there is still cash flow. But they're really in the negative because their lifestyle is costing them 2 times what they are. They increase their lifestyle 2 times, meanwhile, their income increased only by 50%. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yep.
So what happens is that then they end up now at the end of the year, they see their W-2. Like now, this is the tax season. A lot of people, if you ask them, they'll tell you, I don't know what I did. I was talking to a client recently, a prospect, and this gentleman made $275,000 last year. And I'm asking him, he says, bro, I cannot really remember what I did. I said, well, you remember when the IRS needs 45,000 in taxes from you. You will sure remember. He started laughing, but I didn't mean to make him feel bad, okay? I was just saying that what happens is that he sure knows it. He certainly upgraded his car. He moved he had a 10-year-old Toyota Highlander, and he went and bought a $98,000 Range Rover. The insurance for that Range Rover alone is $1,100 a month. The payment on the Range Rover alone is our $1,300. So the Range Rover alone now was costing him $2,500. And before now, his 10-year-old Highlander was only costing him insurance of $270. So he has technically added $2,000 to his monthly bills, even though he has had increase in income, but he doesn't realize that he's increased exponentially more than what is coming in. So the challenge with a lot of high-earning people, right? Number one, because of the amount of money that they earn, they usually mistake earnings for wealth. They usually mistake salaries and income for wealth. High income doesn't translate into high wealth. High income is temporary because it is based on your input at that time. Number two, high income, so a lot of times for most people comes from a job, and your child cannot inherit that job. Wealth, your children can inherit wealth. A job, your child cannot inherit that job. So high earning people tend to forget that the reason why they're earning so well is because they're working. They're getting themselves involved in the process of generating that money. And so once you understand that that is income and it is coming from your time, from you exchanging your time, and you have to build things that will generate income without you exchanging your time, that is when now they start shifting now to the quadrant that produces intelligent high income investors. The third thing that happens to high income investors is the whole concept of Henry. And Henry, if there's anybody on the line who is called Henry, please don't be frustrated. I'm not talking about you, okay? I'm talking about high earners not yet rich. That's what Henry stands for. High earners not rich yet. So they are high earners. They are making 200, 300,000, maybe 5 million CF in Cameroon, 7 million CF in Cameroon. But they are not yet rich because you are one firing away from stopping to make that kind of money. I know that, and probably you might have experienced that if you haven't, Dr. Edimo. I know that because there were times when I used to make double 6 figure, and then a few phone calls, everything stopped. All of a sudden, you realize that it was just earning based on time and based on the phone call of somebody who decides to keep you in a job, right? So you realize that you had something called fake rich in your mind, because the human mind, you must understand, money and the prospect of spending money generates that feeling of enthusiasm in your body. It gives you happiness, right? It generates that the same chemical that works on the brain when you are doing like gambling and that dopamine. Thank you. Dopamine. It generates dopamine. When you're spending money, that's why you see people spending in the mall, they're always smiling, even though all of them have different problems. There are many of them that are charging credit cards. They don't worry about the fact that they'll pay later. I'm living my life. You only live once. So Dr.
They're drinking Hennessy in the clubs.
Exactly.
They're washing their hands
with champagne. The fourth thing about high earning people that puts them in trouble, they overanalyze. When people generally start making a little more money, they think all of a sudden they become smarter. I don't know if it makes sense. I want us to understand it. I am not dissing anybody's intelligence, but I am saying that smart doesn't translate to success in investing. So the one now, when they start making more money, they think they are smarter, and then they start over analyzing things. So the things that are simplistic and are easy to implement and build well, they don't want that stuff. They instead want the complicated business where Dr. Edimo is talking to some gold miners in Brazil. They want to bring a gold mining license to South Africa, then they'll bring it back to Botswana, and then you enter it, they will float it on the stock market, and then you become a millionaire.
Yep.
Okay, that works, but it only works in 0.0000000.5% of the times. So the question you should be asking yourself, the 99.00005% of the times that it doesn't work, do you want to risk your 100,000 in relation to that? And I say this, Dr. Edimo, in all honesty, I have a good friend of mine. This guy is a top-notch professional, makes tons of money, right? But this guy has also made some of the strangest investments you ever imagine. My friend travels to speak in China. The next thing I know, he's calling me on the phone. He met somebody there. They told him that they are doing some feed factory. They'll do something with chickens and blah, blah, blah. He has invested $40,000. This guy calls me one morning and says, you know what, bro? There is some lady in some state, I think Ohio or somewhere. She has a restaurant and they're she has a breakfast model of a restaurant, right? And they have implemented Cameroonian things like puff beans, that kind of stuff. Now she wants to open another branch of the restaurant in the airport, and she's asking people to come and invest 1% of the company is $50,000. I want to buy 10%. And I asked him, how did she evaluate the company at $50,000 for 1%? So you are telling me if it's 50,000 for 1%, it means that company is $50 million? How did she? But before I knew it, the guy has already dropped about 200K. You go to Mexico to enjoy your life. The next thing I know, you calling me, they talk to you about timeshare, blah, blah, blah. You drop 300. That is what happens with intelligent and high earners. They try to do the extraordinary. They think they have to do something different from what the regular people are doing. If regular people, dumb guys, people who are not even able to go to school and pass an exam, if they're investing on the stock market, I must be doing that. I should do something different that tells me that I'm superior, that I'm intelligent, that I know better. That is the trap.
Yep.
The wealth lies in simplicity.
You crack me, and our listeners here, they're just from their comments. Some of them are saying, Omo, with respect to the amount of money that your friend has just been splurging.
Yes.
I think
and those are the ones he tells me about.
And he is more into venture capital. 92% of venture capital, they fail.
Yes.
The 8% make it. They hit it big. But
even the 8%, we have to talk about the ones that just broke it even, Dr. Edimo, in that 8%.
Absolutely. Oh, man. There's this. I'll be going live, is it on Saturday? I'm talking about budgeting, right?
Yes.
And all of these, especially these high earners, right? It starts with the budget. And this discussion about budget, right? No matter how much you make, guys, no matter how much you make, you need to have a budget, no matter how much. Whether you're making 20,000 naira or 50,000 or 500,000 naira, you need to have a budget.
Without a budget, you are cooked.
It starts with a budget. If you're working and your money comes in and you just spend, there is 99.9% chance that you will never build wealth. When you have a budget, be it a zero-based budget, which this zero-based budget, how does it work? Every dollar has a name with a zero-based budget. Every dollar has a name. So if your rent is $1,000, bam. If you put $300 to spend for yourself, when that $300 is done, you sit there and watch TV until you get paid again. You're not going to take it from somewhere else because where you're putting that, it has a name. Or you have a percentage-based budget, which you say 50% goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings, investment, and paying down debt. if you don't start with that, because if you have something like that, the ability to pay yourself first will be automated. We need to automate our paying ourselves first. And I have instituted this. If you are making $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $50 an hour, every day that you go to work, your first hour should go towards paying yourself first. Your first hour, whether you're working 10 hours or 8 hours, let's say 8 hours. If you work 8 hours a day, you work 288 hours a year. Your first hour goes to paying yourself first. If you take your first hour, if they pay you in 2 weeks or they pay you every month, that will accumulate to 12.5% of your gross salary. So if you're making $1,000 a month, you should be investing at least $130 or $125. That makes you 12.5%. If you automate that, that will even make it easier. One of the biggest mistakes that we do about investing is we don't automate it.
Okay.
The only thing that we automate is Njangi because we're afraid for people not to call our names. My question to you here is, if you can automate Njangi, that means, or Susu, or whatever they call it, if you can automate that, that doesn't even give you any interest. Why can't you automate your own investments? That will help you in the later part of your day. So that is, adding to just what you said, my brother,
Yes.
I think that is incredible. It is incredible. Again, I want to give shout out here to Be Clear. Thank you. That's one of our subscribers. Musa
Awesome.
Faith. Also, who else do we have here? Sister Agi. Thank you all. Please share the video. Just the fact that Gloria, thank you for joining and thanks for all your comments. Great work, guys. Before we round up here, we are at crunch time. Before we round up here, right? One more question still on. Let's talk about personal wealth numbers.
Yes.
To every person, it's different, right?
Absolutely.
Some folks, depending on wherever you're living, some folks they're like, if you have 25 times what you spend on a year, you're good to retire. So that simply means if you're making $100,000 and if you have 2.5 million, you're good. Or if you're spending $25,000, if you do the math, you're good.
Correct.
What is your wealth number to you? And how do people work towards calculating their own wealth number? Because it must be different for other people.
That's powerful, Dr. Dimo. That is good. And guys, if you have to think back on my framework, your wealth number, what I'm going to talk about now, your wealth number and the different concepts I'll talk about fit into the clarity piece, because that basically gives you a chance now to have that destination. So your wealth number basically is what you hope to live on when you get to retirement. And retirement here, I believe very strongly, is never a number. Traditionally, they talk about retirement at 65. That is the age the government is willing to start paying you pension, 65, 67. To start, you can draw on their social security without penalties and things like that, right? But it doesn't mean you must work till that time. Retirement to me is the point of financial independence where work becomes an option, where your assets can produce passive income big enough to cover your expenses. At that point, it's a choice if you want to work or not. But now, your wealth number basically is that amount of money you will need to live off of when you no longer want to work, have to work, or need to work. Generally, they call it the amount of money you need to live off annually at retirement. Now, to get that number, it is very simple, right? Just like Dr. Edimo mentioned, I don't want to beat that too hard, but generally, the general standard in the industry, you take your annual income. Let's say you're making $50,000 a year. You take your annual income, you multiply it by 25. That tells you the amount of money you need to have invested So that way, growing at 8%, you can spend 4% of that money every year and you will never run out of money. I want you guys to understand, because there's a little nuance here, and it's very important. If you understand what I'm sharing now, it will make a difference in your life. So if you're making 50,000, 25 times of that is $1,250,000. So it means that with $1,250,000 invested on the stock market in assets like and companies and ETFs, every year you can withdraw up to 50,000 of that, which represents about 4% of that money. If the money is growing at 8%, which is a very conservative amount, you can withdraw 50,000 and you can spend, and your money, you never run out of money till. But the truth of the matter is, and this is something different, Dr. Dimo and I were going to do another live show on this. That's why it is important to follow us, to subscribe to our channels, because what we teach here, guys, these are things people pay money for. Listen to this. The statistics, the studies are telling us that over the last 115 years, it's only in 12 of those 115 years that people have outlived their money spending at 4% withdrawal rate. So the safe withdrawal rate now, a lot of finance people are pushing that the safe withdrawal rate should be somewhere about 6 to 7%. That you can chop 6 to 7% of the returns of your money every year and you'll never run out of money.
Correct.
Good. So now when you want to calculate your wealth number, you are thinking about the percentage of that invested capital, that the percentage of the growth of that capital, that 5% represents, that you can withdraw every year and eat. But now, before you get to that number, it is important to do a few things, because you don't get to that number by magic. Once you get to that, you identify what that number is. Then you have to go back now to the math and start reverse engineering your circumstance. What are the other numbers that you need? And these are very important numbers too. When you know your wealth number, what are the other numbers that you need? The first thing you need to know your net worth. Your net worth is basically taking all the things you own that are assets, and you subtract all the things you owe, which are debts. So for example, you own a home, you own stocks on the market, your savings account, your 401k, all those things, those are assets. You take the amount of that. Let's say it is $1 million. Then you owe 400,000 on your home. You owe some car loans of 25,000. You owe some credit cards of 5,000. You subtract that amount from 1 million, whatever is remaining, whether it's 500 and something thousand, that is your net worth. That is the second important number. The third important number, Dr. Edimo touched on that already. You want to know your budget. You want to know how much you spend every month, and you want to know how much comes into you every month. The important thing with that is what? You know how much comes in. You know how much you spend. And then you can also identify what the surplus is, because that surplus money after the expenses of what comes in is the money that you use now to build your war chest. It's the money that you use to invest. It's the money that you can use now for extra things. It's the money that Dr. Edimo uses to go to the store and buy his $600 perfume to smell good. It doesn't come from part of this. It's not affecting the investment. Do that make sense, guys? We need to understand that. Now, the other number that is important to know, and I like this one because this is actually a good one. This one, they call it the FU number. Because that is the number, when you hit it, you can tell your boss,
I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah. Put it behind your ear or something. Come on. But here's the deal, guys. That is, of course, that is called your retirement number, right? That basically ties back to the initial number I talked about, which is your freedom number. You can call it a freedom number. You can call it a retirement number. What is that number? What is that amount of money you need to have invested, which will produce for you that? So in my situation, Dr. Edimo, my goal is to be able to, since I'm planning to live a hybrid life, a small amount of my time in America, but most of my time is going to be in Africa from about the age of 55 by God's grace, right? So to me, that money represents about $250,000 a year for me. That's how much I will need to do the things I want to do. Spend on foundations, contribute and donate to your foundations for your parents, help. Those are the things I'm thinking. That's my goal. Okay, I hope to get there by God's grace. If not, at least I won't fall too far, right?
So that 250,000, right? How many a year? How many years do you go far after 55 in order for you to say, okay, I have that number? So
Okay,
what's that?
good. That's a good question. So if you take that number, right, I multiply it because I am planning on about an 8% withdrawal rate. I'm
Okay.
not planning on 4%. I'm planning on 8%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you take that number, now you multiply that number by 25. So you're sitting at what? 2.5. That's about $7.5 million. So I need $7.5 million invested in assets on the market to produce me. No, it will not be 7.5 because that will be at 4%. So 7%, it means I will need somewhere about $5 million.
Okay.
If I'm withdrawing at 7%, right? I'll need
Yeah.
somewhere about $5 million on the stock market. Now
Wow.
by 55, if I don't have $5 million, it is fine. It means I will not be spending 250 yet.
Okay.
But that is my goal
You cut your coat according to your material.
to my fabric. But that is my goal. And with the things we know, the things we are doing, I believe it's going to be possible. Right? We have 8 billion people on this earth. I'm looking for 1 million people who believe in what I'm saying and can pay me $20. That's $20 million. Is that an unfair ask?
Nah, not at all. Not at
That's
all.
it. So, but anyways, Dr. Dimos, that is a clear example of how those numbers work, right? So
Wow.
once you have that number, then you can start working towards that number. One of the things I like to share is that, especially for people who are immigrants watching us today, and if you're living out of your country of birth, you have an advantage for immigrants who are living maybe in Canada, in America, in Europe. You have an advantage because the cost of living in most countries in Africa are cheaper. That is why even Americans are moving to some African countries like Ghana, like Ivory Coast, like Senegal, because their money can go further. In America, our generation is estimated that by the time we get to retirement age, we are going to need about $7,000 to $12,000 per month to take care of our health needs, home care, all that stuff. But boy, $7,000 is 3.5 million CFA in Cameroon. Now it's 4 million CFA in Cameroon today. With 4 million francs a month, you have a small, nice house in Boya. You have 4 million francs. You have 2 doctors on call every day. You have 4 nurses taking care of you 8 hours a day, round the clock, if you need that kind of help. And then you will be amongst people you love. You will be amongst in near Boya Mountain where the breeze is blowing you and you're feeling revitalized. Because the thing I tell immigrants is, don't forget, life is not only about money. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. It's all about the other things that gives you joy. Can you go to Pre-Catholic Church Bokwango? Is that the parish you grew up in? How do you feel going there to and doing offertory? Every Sunday, you have a seat, you go sit down, you praise God together. You ask yourself those questions. Okay, maybe you come every 3 months or every 6 months, you come back here for 1 month, you go visit the boys, you visit the girls. By then, they'll be grown. They have their own children. When you stop to see your grandchildren, you cut a check for 15,000 for them to support their school fees. That's the kind of life I'm envisioning. And I'm praying every day to God to help me. And I'm saying this publicly. A lot of people don't like to say their dreams publicly
Yep.
because they're afraid if it doesn't work, people will laugh at
Right.
them. I
Yep.
don't care. I am
Yep.
speaking it to the universe because this is my desire and my drive and my demand from God Almighty to help me with strength, with good health, and with the discipline to continue to build.
Wow. Powerful. I would like to echo Dr. Agi Elangwe, Be Claire, Bobby Kum, Dobby Kum. We also have Musa Faith, Gloria Efe. Uh, we also have Sister Agia from Maryland as well. Thank you guys. Thank you all for staying tuned. But we are at the top of the hour here, right? And we won't really go to the ETFs that you're looking at. What are your last words?
Man, Dr. Dimo, what last words again? Well, my last words are simple. Guys, listen, for those who might not know me, my name is Gustav B. Achu. I'm a wealth strategist and a legacy architect. I help first, second generation immigrants who have worked extremely hard, who have done everything by the rules, follow the book, but they still feel behind on their purpose. They feel behind on their pocketbooks, and they feel behind on the fact that they might not hit the goals, financial and otherwise, that they have in their lives. I teach them simple systems that are repeatable, implementable, and comes with minimum amount of risk that meets your risk tolerance to build wealth strategically, and not only build it strategically, but to also build a system that you can live in it and leave to your children. I remember many years ago, I watched a comedy show by Chris Brown, and he said something that changed my life forever. He made a joke, people were laughing, but it wasn't funny to me. Chris Brown said, when a white man dies, he leaves a will, and when a black man dies, he leaves a bill. From that day, 15 years ago, I told myself I will never leave a bill. I will leave a will. So if you
Wow.
want to leave a will, not a bill, then you know what to do. Dr. Edimo.
Wow, wow, wow. It's always joy. You know, we've been doing, we need to find out when our 1 year anniversary is coming up for us doing this thing. I don't know the first, we have to go find out the
I think
first
we
time.
started in May or something. I
Yeah,
think
so
so.
we're close
Yeah.
to 1 year.
We're getting there. We're getting
Yep,
there. We've been consistent every week.
yep.
It's
So
not easy.
that's incredible.
Yes.
Guys, just to let you know, we're living in one of the most exciting and unprecedented times in history where information technologies and incredible opportunities have never been greater. Some of us, we didn't grow up with money, or some of us, we thought money was just paper or money was just to consume. But we are living now in times that we can share knowledge, we can impact the next generation. That was why World Smart Advisory Group has created Next Gen, World Smart Next Gen. Next World Smart Next Gen, it's a group where we gonna teach kids starting from 9 years old what money is, how to start with a budget, how to save, and even how to invest in the stock market with their parents being as custodians of that account. This is a game changer, guys. If your 9 year old can understand this magic, be you living in Europe, be you living in Canada, be you living in the United States, this is a game changer opportunity for you. This course can go up to $5,000. We have dedicated a month. My young man, Amani, and I, we will be dedicating a month to impact some knowledge to your kids so that they take upon this opportunity and run with it. And every 10, 12, 13, or 15-year old that bites on this opportunity with you as parents, their help, there shouldn't be any way, shape, or form that they should be begging for a job in this country by the time they're 40 or 45, because they must have amassed incredible amount of wealth, and with that mindset they should be the ones impacting others and employing others to work for their companies. Don't miss out on this opportunity because this is a life-changing opportunity. We don't see that in our communities, we don't see that even among grown-ups, but we want to take it down to the roots. Because if we don't set or build a firm foundation, there is a high probability that that house will collapse. A lot of us, we're saving money today, we're building wealth to leave a legacy, but before we even get buried, that legacy will be gone because we didn't teach these kids how hard we work for this money and how money can work for itself. Here is an opportunity. World Smart Next Gen. Check out information on our Facebook, on our Instagram. $3.99. Let your kids join us starting April 18th. We will impact your kid for life. Don't miss upon this opportunity. Until next time, my brother, it's always good catching up with you, man. Until next time, we'll see you again. Ciao.
A great plumping pleasure. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Be well, be blessed, and by all means, never stop being a blessing to somebody.
Oh, this was good, brother.